And I also work with Dr. Kristen Gillespie-Lynch at the Project Reach and CSI as the neurodiversity specialist. So I'm kind of doubly cronified in that I am a beneficiary of Project Reach and I work on Project Reach as a staff member. So this first quote is by the disability rights activist Judy Heumann, and it's about independence more broadly. Self-advocacy is about being a leader in your own life. So independent living is not doing things yourself, it is being in control of how things are done. So that to me means that rather than having to be pushed out of the nest prematurely or expected to do things or pressed into normalcy that does not align with your personal goals, you can advocate for yourself and align with people around you and the support systems around you to get your needs met more fully, more wholly. So a great resource for that is the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. And quote, I'm sure we've all heard nothing about us without us. So that is the thought that in order for supports aligned with the needs of autistic individuals to properly reflect those actual lived experiences, they have to involve the people or members of the population that they hope to support at every level, not just as beneficiaries, but as researchers, as leaders, as peer mentors, as folks in participatory research who are able to both render support to their peers and practice their own self-advocacy and leadership skills in doing so. So what is self-advocacy? And what does it have to do with leadership? I've mentioned that a bit already, but it's this ability to stand up for yourself and others. It's central to self-determination. It draws from a set of interrelated skills. It requires knowledge of yourself, knowledge of your rights, good communication skills, and leadership skills. And leadership skills are often overlooked, as I just mentioned, in self-advocacy, education, that's focused on people with disabilities. It's important that in equipping the leaders of tomorrow, we really hand over that mantle as soon as we can and listen and understand that we are, in working with autistic people, if you are not in that population, you're surrounded by leaders, you're surrounded by experts, and really drawing from their experience will inform your success rate and your ability to really sink into the needs of that population well. So now that we know what self-advocacy is, what do we self-advocate for? We usually kind of think of direct supports, kind of one-on-one supports that may require more active participation from faculty, from administrators from people who are kind of giving one-on-one, kind of temporally and scalarly limited support. But we also, those are very important and very necessary, but we also want to self-advocate for kind of larger systemic changes, structural changes that require less active participation and can provide kind of a passive support and just be embedded in all of the structures and systems that touch people who are autistic. So again, unfortunately, it's very rare for autistic students themselves to be given that leadership role in research that affects them. So the participatory model that we employ at the College of Staten Island is kind of our trying to remedy that. And we are able to hand over we are able to kind of sink into the needs of the group and ask them, what is it that's important to you? What is it that you would like to learn? What are your priorities? What are your goals? And start there rather than kind of dictating from without, and rather than imposing our priorities on them. We can really make sure that it aligns with and respects their lived experiences, and that they're shaping the qualitative and quantitative outputs, and thus influencing the supports that are available to the next generation. And that's been really empowering for me, and I'm sure that the same is true of many others. So again, this is Jen, who also works on Project Reach at the College of Staten Island. And this is kind of, he provides a prime example of how leadership can actually, in and of itself, be a form of support for those of us who are on the autism spectrum. So Jen receives mentorship from CSI's Project Reach and is also a member of the participatory research team. And Jen actually attended the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network's Autism Campus Inclusion summer workshop in DC, where they are actually given the tools to be able to engage leaders in government, in their college administrations, and other people in power to, again, create systemic structural changes to broaden the scope of the resources available to autistic students in their communities. And before I go, it's important that we focus on translatable, or rather transportable practices or generalizable practices, in that if we kind of can work together to make sure that these programs are as accessible, either low or no cost as possible, and that they have self-assessment built into their models at every step of the way, to ensure that they are guided by, again, those leaders in their midst, all of this untapped potential that could really make a huge difference in outcomes for individuals who are involved.